Hello, and welcome to Conquer the Concept. In this video, you will learn about some basics of Arduino, and you will be able to write your first Arduino sketch. Now, this sketch that we will write, it will make an LED blink, and to do this, we will be using the Arduino Uno board, which is one of Arduino's main boards. Now, what if you don't have an Arduino board? That's completely fine. You can simulate an Arduino Uno board on Tinkercad. You can run code and control electrical components. So making a Tinkercad account is free, so once you've logged into Tinkercad, on your dashboard on the left side there will be an option for circuits, so just click on circuits. After that you want to click create new circuit. Once your workspace has popped up, you want to click on the current title of your project. This will allow you to edit it, and I will just call it Conquer the Concept Blink Tutorial. Okay, now we want to insert an Arduino. So what we're going to do is search for an Arduino. So we're going to say Arduino Uno. Okay, so it's right here, an Arduino Uno R3. So we're going to click on that, and then just click on the workspace, and they'll let you insert it. And now you've got an Arduino into your Tinkercad simulation. Now, let's go over some parts of an Arduino Uno. First, we have the reset button, which is located right over here. When this button is pressed, the code executes from the very beginning. Now, we have the USB port right over here. This is what you can use to power your Arduino, and this is how you will upload code to your Arduino. Over here we have the DC power in jack. This allows your Arduino board to be powered from, say, a battery or an outlet. Down here in purple we have some power and ground pins, and in orange we have analog input pins, which allows for user inputs to be taken. Up here we have some digital input-output pins. These can be interfaced with the Arduino as well, and you can use them to, say, blink an LED or turn a motor on for some amount of time and then turn it off. Now over here we have some indicator lights. This on LED should turn on once you've powered your Arduino Uno. This is the LED we will be blinking, this one marked with L, and these two indicator LEDs. These will signal when data has been transmitted and when it will be received. Finally, we have the brains of the Arduino board, the Atmega 328P. This is how the Arduino handles your code and how it can give power to various electrical components. Alright, now let's go over some terms to know. The logic level is the operating voltage of a board. For an Arduino Uno, this is 5 volts. This means that any voltage that is applied to a digital pin will either be 5 or 0. This is high or low. Now, for other Arduino boards, the logic level is 3.3 volts. However, for most of them, it is 5 volts. A sketch is an Arduino program. As you can see over here, here is a picture of a blank sketch. Now let's go over some data types. The one that we will use in this video is an integer. It uses the keyword int, and it stores a whole number. Now, some other data types include a boolean, which uses the keyword bool, a character, which uses the keyword char, a string of characters, which uses the keyword string, and a decimal, which can use the keyword double or float. Now let's go over some functions. An Arduino sketch has 2 integral functions. Now without these functions, the Arduino sketch will not compile, and you will not be able to upload any of your code to the Arduino board. So the void setup function, this is what will run once in your code. And the void loop function, whatever you put inside this function will run over and over and over again. Some pre-programmed functions that we will be using today are pin mode, delay, and digital write. The pin mode function has 2 parameters, the pin to set and whether the pin is an input or an output. So for example, an LED would be set as an output because it is not taking any user input, but we're trying to write to it. We're trying to give it some power. The delay function has one parameter. This is the time to delay, and it is in milliseconds, and it will take an integer. So a millisecond is 1,000th of a second. So if you wanted to delay for 1 second, you would give it the argument that you would send to the delay function would be 1,000, and the delay function just stops your code. Like nothing else will be running. It'll just stop for however long you tell it to. Now the digital write function has two parameters: the pin to write to and the state to which the pin will be set. Again, this pin can be any digital pin, and the state can be high or low. High is 5 volts and low is 0 volts. So when we're trying to blink our LED, we will have to use digital write to turn our LED on and to turn it off. Now, let's get into the code. To start writing our code, we need to first download the Arduino Integrated Development Environment, or the Arduino IDE. Once you've downloaded the IDE, you want to click on File and then create a new sketch if the screen does not already pop up. Now, let's set a goal for our code. So we want to turn an LED on for 1 second, then turn it off for another second. So if we use comments, which is available in the Arduino IDE, we can write anything we want and the compiler will absolutely ignore it. So to write a comment, we can put 2 forward slashes and type anything we want. So let's type turn on an LED for 1 second and turn it off for 1 second. Okay, so first let's declare an integer. So what I'm going to do is type int or int, and then I'm going to type the name of the integer. I'm going to call it LED pin. You can call integers whatever you want. I'm just going to call it LED pin. Now we have to assign a value to LED pin. To do this, we have to use an assignment operator, which is the equal sign. And then we have to put the value of the variable. So let's type 13 because the LED that we will be blinking, which is connected to the L light on the Arduino, is connected to pin 13. Now put a semicolon after every line in Arduino code because it is based off of C and C++, and in C and C++ there's always a semicolon after each line of code. Now in our voids setup, what we want to do is declare pin 13 as an output. We don't need to put that in the void loop because we don't need to declare LED pin as an output over and over and over again. So let's write pin mode and turns orange because it recognizes it, and then we want to write LED pin because the first argument it will take is a digital pin. Now arguments are separated by a comma, so we need to put a comma, and then we want to say if the pin that we're setting it to is an input or output. So it's going to be an output because we are not taking any user input but applying a voltage to it. So in all caps I'm going to type output and it will turn blue. Now I can close the parentheses and put a semicolon. Now in our void loop code, what we want to do is apply a high voltage to the LED, then apply a low voltage to the LED so that it turns off. So what I'm going to type is digital write with a capital W, and it's going to turn orange because it recognizes it. Now in open parentheses, and first we have to type the pin that we are writing to. So it's going to be LED pin, and we're going to separate it by a comma, and we're going to, in all caps, type high. It's going to turn blue because it recognizes it. Now you can close the parentheses and put a semicolon. Now the reason we use an integer up here is so that it's easy to change the value of it, and we can change the pin that we were writing to very easily. So if I had just wrote 13 instead of LED pin, that would have been fine. The code still would have ran, and I could have wrote 13 here as well. But let's say I wanted to change the pin to 5. Then I would have to change it over here and change it over here. But with a variable, I can just change this value to 5, and everything else in the code will change. So let's keep this at 13 for now. And now let's turn the LED off. So what I'm going to type is digital write with a capital W, and we're going to turn LED pin off, so LED pin, comma, low, with all caps, and then put a close parentheses and a semicolon. Now, if we uploaded this code to our Arduino board, what would happen is the LED would turn on and off and on and off, but with no time in between, so our eyes wouldn't be able to tell that the state of the LED was actually changing. So we need to put a delay between these two lines of code. So what I'm going to type is delay and an open parentheses. Now the delay function, remember, takes one argument, and this is the time in milliseconds to delay. So let's create another variable. This is going to also be an int, and let's call this delay time. And we're going to assign it to the value of 1000. Because if you remember, 1000 milliseconds, which is what the delay function will be taking, is equal to 1 second. So now, as an argument, we can just type in delay time, and this means that the delay function will be taking a value of 1000. Now we can close the parentheses and put a semicolon. Now if you ran this code, the LED would turn on, then for 1 second nothing would happen, then the LED would turn off but then turn back on again because of the loop code. So what we need to do is add a delay after this turn off so that we can actually tell that the LED turned off. So what I'm going to do is put delay, and as the argument we can just put delay time again. Put a close parentheses and now a semicolon. Okay, now we can just put some spaces to make the code easier to read. And now we can save our code. So we're going to click File, then click Save. I'm just going to call this Blink Tutorial CTC. And then I'm going to save this. Okay, now we can verify our code. By verifying our code, we can check it for any errors. The verify button is just this check mark over here. As you can see, it's loading, and we have no errors since there was no red marks or anything like that. And now we're ready to upload our code to the Arduino Uno. Now that we've verified our code, we want to upload the code to our Arduino Uno. To do that, first plug in your Arduino board to your laptop with the printer cable. After that, click on Tools, then click on Board and make sure you have selected Arduino Uno. Then click on Port and select the port that says Arduino Uno. If none of the ports in the list say Arduino Uno, remove the USB cable from your laptop and see which port is removed. That is the one you will want to select. Now, once you've selected the correct port, click this upload button, which is an arrow pointing to the right. Now it will be loading over here. And here it says done uploading. Now that you've uploaded the code to your Arduino Uno, you should see this LED marked with an L blinking. If you don't have an Arduino Uno board and you're trying to simulate it on Tinkercad, what you want to click is Code. Then click on the drop down and select Text. Click Continue, and you can replace the code already in there by the code that you've written in the Arduino IDE. So I'm just going to paste my code. Okay, now that we have it, you can exit out of this code window, and we can click Start Simulation. This is like uploading the code to the board. And as you can see, this LED is turning on and then off. Thank you so much for watching Conquer the Concept. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with any questions you might have. Bye!